Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some drama from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's father-in-law who stole from OP, and how OP's wife reacted to that. Listen to the story, guys, to find out all the details, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My fiance, 26 female, and I, 30 male, live in an apartment. We both work. My fiance helps her dad by sending him money every month. I send money too, and we also cook meals and send them to him. My fiance's dad has a spare key. I noticed he never really visits, just shows up when we're not home. Borrows stuff like microwave, TV screen, mixer, vacuum cleaner, etc. And says he'll return it, but he never returned anything. I heard he's been struggling with rent and money. I tried to get the stuff back, but he admitted he sold them to pay for debts. His wife passed away last year, leaving medical debts for him to pay. I had so much patience and understanding. Until yesterday, when I found out that my late wife's ring was missing. It's worth a lot. I've had it since she passed away in 2017. I asked my fiance's dad if he showed up yesterday, and he said no. I asked him if he took the ring, and he denied. My fiance said I was out of line to hint her dad would do anything like that. What he didn't know is that I had cameras installed outside. I was getting sick of him stomping over boundaries and giving me excuses, and my fiance tolerates his behavior by saying he's struggling. I showed him the video, and after arguing, he admitted he took it, but swore up and down, saying he didn't have intentions to take it, but felt tempted and now regrets it. I told him it was all right since he admitted to his mistake, and all he had to do was give me back the ring. But he said he pawned it and spent the money on more debts. I ducking lost it. I yelled at him and told him he needed to deal with his own mess and shouldn't have took something that had monetary and sentimental value, then tell me to ducking live with it just because he's struggling. I told him I'd seriously take him to court and sue him over this. My fiance looked shocked and took it as in my late wife was more important to me than her and her family. She started crying, telling me I'm free to sue him, but I should be more understanding of this situation and he's just acting out of grief and dealing with so much. Basically guilt-tripping and shaming on her family's part. I insisted, and I'm sticking to what I said. If I don't get the ring back, I'm taking him to court. My own parents are telling me to stop it, saying that will damage my relationship with him and the family, and suggested he pay me when he has money. I didn't listen. I just got the key from him and refused to argue about it anymore. I would have immediately gone to get the ring back myself, but he refused to tell me anything, which is why I said I'd resort to court. Not only was OP helping to financially support this man, OP let him essentially steal from him time after time in hopes that he wouldn't cross a certain line. The fact is, he allowed temptation to take over and stole something with such value to OP makes me believe it's not medical debt being paid. The man probably has some sort of problem that needs addressed. Also, OP's fiance is the other a-hole. She's trying to guilt OP for her father's grief while completely ignoring OP's own. I think OP should report it stolen. Perhaps with that, OP can go to the pawn shop and get it back. I don't think the pawn shop owner will have much interest in dealing with the police and so on. Also, I think OP should reconsider marrying her. While we can all understand she wants to help her dad, her not telling him explicitly how wrong it is that he steals from OP is a big red flag. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Potentiality Knox says, "Not the a-hole. You should have changed the locks when he first started stealing stuff. He probably won't have the money if you sue him, so that might be pointless. You could file a police report, but that's an even more nuclear option. Can you ask him which pawn shop he sold it to? Maybe they still have it." Murdoch's mistress says, "Oh, not the a-hole. File a police report and find out where it was pawned. Get it back. You provide proof it's yours and it was stolen. They have to give it back to you. Then press charges against him and kick out the fiancé because she will keep enabling his moochy klepto butt." Deeser Pakwu says, "Holy crap, that's so messed up. How in the world does your fiancé think it is okay or normal? Give him an ultimatum, and if he doesn't get it back in time, sue his butt. Also, have a serious talk with your fiancé, not the a-hole." So, today is the anniversary of my stepdad dying in a car wreck, and it's bringing up a lot of memories. His death caused a huge split in my family. My mom was in the car with him and saw him pass, but it didn't seem to affect her at all. We drove from Vegas to Flagstaff about 5 times to pick up my mom and her dog, claim the body, help my grandmother set up a funeral, etc. We also paid for all 3 of his funerals, one in Denver, one in Vegas, and one in Arizona, because he had friends and family in each state. After the first funeral, my mom moved in with me and my husband and our kids. The last funeral was when he was actually laid to rest in Arizona, and my mom said a friend was taking her down. We couldn't go because we had to work. Unfortunately, I got a call from my grandmother who was hysterical, saying the man my mom brought was her boyfriend she had met on POF after my stepdad passed. They were hugging, holding hands, and kissing at the funeral. I calmed my grandmother down, and she told me my stepdad had left both of his insurance policies to me and her. She said she would send my portion of the money the next day. Well, my mom overheard her, and when she got back to Vegas, she demanded the money. I went off on her and called her all kinds of names for bringing a stranger to my dad's funeral and told her absolutely not she wasn't getting the money, not after everything we had spent traveling to Arizona and paying for all 3 funerals, that it was going into my kids' college education fund like I knew my dad would want. His grandbabies were his everything. She then stormed into the garage where his stuff was and started going through it to find things of value to sell. He had a lot of signed things because he worked at the Mandalay Bay as security, and she started rounding it all up to take to a pawn shop. I sent my husband in to stop her, and they ended up in an argument, and eventually, I just told her to pack her stuff and go live with her new boyfriend. Now, here's where I might be the a-hole. My mom has Parkinson's and can't work, and I had no way of knowing if the guy would take her in. He didn't. My sister took her in, and my family thinks I was selfish and didn't look out for my mom in her time of grief. Also, to add, my mother was a terrible mother. She bounced from man to man who treated us horrible until she met my stepdad. She was cruel and clearly cared very little for OP's dad, but also clearly cared less for herself. I do not know anyone within their right mind that brings a new boyfriend to their newly deceased husband's funeral, so clearly she has some serious self-worth problems. But none of that is on OP or OP's dad. She is the way she is, and she is not a good person. Also, if OP's dad wanted to give OP's mom money, he would have, period. That money is for OP and should do as she pleases with it. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Up the Creek with No Canoe says, not the a-hole. It's better for everyone, including your children, to not be around your mom's situation right now. I See What's in Your Pee says, not the a-hole, but it's a close one. The biggest issue is who owns what's in the garage, and you need a lawyer to figure that out. But since we don't know exactly where his assets need to go, you accidentally did the right thing. Preserve everything until probate court has decided who gets what. The insurance money is yours and grandma's. It goes to whoever is named on the policy. Nothing wrong with what you did there. Her behavior at the funeral was atrocious. Kissing your new boyfriend at your husband's funeral? From how you described him, he was more of a dad than a stepdad to you, and I don't blame you one bit for kicking her out for such disrespect. If your family is that upset, let them take her in. Conscious Card says, not the a-hole. It seems significant that your stepdad left money to you instead of your mom. That seems very intentional, so it's your money, and do what you want with it. I have 2 adult children who were immensely loved, but I've always believed that the marriage comes first. I love my husband more than anyone in the world, and I made sure to prioritize our marriage and not be one of those moms. My oldest son is 25 and just filed for divorce after 4 years of marriage. I really disliked my daughter-in-law for some personal reasons, but also didn't like the way she treated my son. They have a beautiful 3-year-old son, but she began to completely ignore my son when my grandson was born. She prided herself on being a working mom, but couldn't juggle all 3, and my poor son was neglected. Typically, I would have more sympathy, but she made a lot of derogatory comments about my parenting and marriage. She said she doesn't know how my husband and I could travel without the kids when they were young, 1 or 2 weeks a year, and they were with their grandparents. She was insulted about the fact I baby my husband, and he is a man-child, and she embarrassed me at her bridal shower when she asked me for a piece of marriage advice, and then told me it was bad advice, and I'm just too old-fashioned. Well, obviously, this didn't all work out too well for her. I was ecstatic when my son told me they were divorcing. She also used her son as a pawn, and was always giving me conditions and acting like she was doing me a favor. I'm kind of enjoying the fact that she wanted me to have limited time with the kid, and now I have him for a week at a time. My son is living with us. But I've tried very hard to bite my tongue. She came over the other day to pick up her son, and my son had left. He always leaves and makes me deal with her, but that's a separate issue. She started talking about how weird it feels that they are divorcing, and that she can't believe it's real, and I very nicely asked her if she still thinks my advice was bad advice. She burst into tears and left, and now I feel like an a-hole. She texted my son that I'm a B, and he should be mad at me for laughing at his divorce. Well, in my opinion, anyone who takes pleasure in kicking someone while they're down is an a-hole, and I'm sure OP's son wouldn't appreciate OP's gleeful response to his family falling apart. OP's criticisms of her daughter-in-law sound kind of dubious too. I'd suspect she'd describe OP as a just-no mother-in-law. Curly Girl 722 says, "My poor son was neglected. Give me a break. This is code for he cheated. 4 years of marriage and he's calling it quits because she's more focused on the kid than on him is ridiculous. Oh, and treating your soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law and mother of your grandchild poorly is in bad form. You should be the bigger person and try to at least pretend to be supportive on all sides. You're the a-hole in the biggest way here." Drunk on Martini says, "You're the a-hole. Being a jerk to your son's co-parent is an awful idea, and making fun of someone who is crying about her marriage ending to her face is cold, even if you do hate her. I think it's icky to rejoice in anyone's pain. Karma is a thing." Brintack says, "I mean, yes, you're the a-hole. You're obviously the a-hole here. The question is whether you're a justified a-hole, which you appear to think you are. There's way too much one-sided info here for me to say everyone sucks here, but being gleeful about your son's divorce is enough for me to render this verdict. It really doesn't matter how bad you thought the relationship was. It's likely devastating for your son and grandchild. And, by the way, there are many people who don't agree that the marriage should come first over the kids. The fact that you see it as a moral failing of hers versus a difference in philosophy is one of the reasons I'm not sure I can trust your characterization of your ex-daughter-in-law." I'm 16 female. My mom married my stepfather about 3 years ago. He has a daughter, Emma, 17 female. I've been incessantly picked on by Emma and her side of the family. Small town, everybody knows each other, because of my mixed-race background, and that my dad's side are not wealthy. My dad passed away when I was a lot younger, so Emma and I do not get along at all. This family heirloom, a bracelet, has been in Emma's mother's side of the family for 5 or 6 generations, and has been passed down from mother to first daughter. It's not valuable financially, it's not made of gold and has no precious stones. The value is mostly sentimental. Emma was not in line to receive this, as she has an older sister, Ava. There have been tensions between Emma and her mom, because Emma believed she should get this heirloom, as Ava has a de-addiction problem, and Emma believed Ava would not take good care of this. However, in the end, their mom gave it to Ava. A couple of weeks ago, Ava pawned the bracelet at a pawn shop, which my friend works there. He noticed Ava pawned the bracelet and knew about the bracelet, so he gave me a call and told me what happened. I went there and bought it for myself. I didn't tell anyone, and am keeping it at my uncle's house with my cousin. Once Emma learned the bracelet had been pawned, she went there to buy it, but as I had already bought it, they came back empty-handed, and Emma's been complaining about this, and Ava, non-stop. She does not know that I have it. I can end it by telling her that I have it, and offer to give or sell it to her, but I'm keeping it for myself because why not? It's mine, as I've purchased it legitimately. She's been R to me, and I don't need to do her a favor. Am I the a-hole? Sean Sandina says, "Everyone sucks here. They suck by being R to you. It's unacceptable. They are always a-holes. You know very well what you're doing. You're using it as an opportunity to get back at your stepsister, and you enjoy seeing her in despair. This is not acceptable either. Offer to sell, not give, it back to them at a good profit. Everyone will be happy." Parsimonious Salad says, "Everyone sucks here. So let me get this straight. You bought the bracelet not because you liked it or wanted to wear it at any point. You only bought it so Emma couldn't get it. This was to punish her for how she's treated you. Yeah, that was a spiteful thing to do. You're not better than she is then. And in a small town where everyone knows everything, chances are she will learn about this. Kind of sounds like you want her to know, though, to get every ounce of satisfaction from hurting her back." Skrilla Savin Mama says, "Not the a-hole. Sister pawned it and you bought it. Don't say anything about it. Put it online under a fake account if you want to sell it. Otherwise, keep it. R's don't get a pass. All that EHS is some bull. Stop giving R's a pass. Keep the bracelet, and if they want to buy it, again, post it online under a fake account. You know nothing, and you owe them nothing." My fiance, 25 male, and I, 22 female, are having problems with his family, and don't know where to take it from here. My fiance and I have been together for 4 years, and are getting married next summer. We're paying for our own wedding to avoid opinions. My fiance has a twin sister and 2 older sisters. In an attempt to explain his dynamic with his mother quickly, my fiancé often refers to her jokingly as his business partner, as their relationship is a bit cold. I've previously had a great relationship with his parents. It's also important to understand our relationship with my fiancé's twin sister. We've never been close due to some situations and personality traits. The vibe is very holier than thou. I will attempt to describe some of the many instances that describe my fiancé and I's challenges with his twin. While my fiancé and her attended the same college, she would take a nap, and my fiancé would be expected to pick up her car, get her groceries, fill her car with gas, and then return it to her. She did not learn to pump her own gas until she was 21. She found out about some of my fiancé's exciting new job opportunities and had her husband apply for all the same jobs in hopes that he would get them instead. She is now recently married with a baby. Following our engagement, his family immediately started asking who was going to be in the wedding party. We discussed including family and concluded that we wanted each other to have whoever they wanted in order to be comfortable on our wedding day. I chose not to have his sister as we were not close and he was on board. Long story short, I've moved out of state and my fiancé's family found out that the sisters, especially his twin, were not bridesmaids and were hysterical. His parents accused us of things such as making his twin cry so hard that she wasn't sleeping and that we worsened her stomach condition to the point where she had to go to the hospital. They met with their priest about us. His parents informed my fiancé that I was showing my true colors, will control and manipulate him my whole life, and that he should think long and hard about this wedding. They told us that as long as his twin was happy, everyone was happy. They informed my fiancé that he needed to muscle up to me and stand up for his sister. Through all of this, my fiancé was heartbroken and furious at his family for talking about me in such a way and for treating us like this. A lot came after this, and I haven't seen them in months, even when I come home to town. Where we currently stand is that Dad and fiancé are on speaking terms, and though he hasn't apologized, is now constantly telling my fiancé how much he loves me. His mother and sister won't talk to him or I. I've not seen or spoken to his parents or his twin since this, and don't know if I should just suck it up and get seeing them over with before the wedding or not. Am I the a-hole for creating this drama when we previously had a great relationship? C. Majuscula says, not the a-hole. It's your wedding, not theirs. However, you need to seriously consider if the family dynamic is something you're willing to deal with long term. It seems like the people showing their true colors are his family, and you both, you and fiancé, need to set some hard boundaries now. Revolutionary Let 39 says, not the a-hole. If you give in now, you'll be given in to her for the rest of your married lives. Your wedding is your day. She already had her own. And I doubt you were a bridesmaid at her wedding, so there's no reason she should be one at yours. Friend Lily says, not the a-hole. There's no law that someone has to have all female bridesmaids and all male groomsmen, or that siblings are automatic in the wedding party. Times are a-changin', and if fiancé wanted his sisters or twin in the wedding, he would have asked them to stand with him. He didn't, so his family should only be mad at him. And if they were kind, rational adults, they would be mad at no one. I don't see why either of you should have contact with any of them, because they sound toxic and have made your fiancé, and now you, the scapegoat of the family. I would instead encourage your fiancé to get therapy to help him deal with his birth family.